So now we're going to show you some of the things that I do to get a members list from these groups that have more than 10,000 members. That Facebook, up until very recent times, Facebook would only give you a list after about the first 9,500 to 9,800 members on these groups. So I set this auto scroller, I'll scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. It won't let me scroll any further than about user 9,500 or 9,800, and that'll be the end of the results. Now, Facebook has recently changed this, that it appears, as far as I can tell, that Facebook will let you scroll all the way down to the bottom, no matter how many members the group has. The problem with that is it will crash your computer before you get to the bottom. So this group right here has got 21,073 members. After the first, somewhere between 11,000 and 11,500 users, it will crash. Even back in the day, when it would only let you get the first 9,500 or 9,800, it would try to crash your computer. Doing that as well, that you would get to the bottom of the list, and then you go to save the members group, and sometimes it would crash as you're saving the HTML for the members. And there are three things that can make the page crash. One is excessive RAM usage. So when you scroll this all the way down for so many thousands of users, it starts to take up a lot of RAM. The other is you run out of render processes, which is Facebook trying to render the page, Google Chrome trying to render the page, and it runs out of render processes. And then the last one is your JavaScript heap. Now, I don't know what to do about this JavaScript heap, but I've got a bunch of workarounds that I use for the RAM and for the render processes. The first workaround that I use for saving RAM, I'll show you this, is I edit my hosts file. So I've got this document up here. This is all of Facebook's CDNs, Facebook's content delivery networks. Okay. And this is my Windows host file where I can enter these CDNs. And what happens here is this IP address right here, this 127.0.0.1. This is the address to my local machine. Okay, this is the address, the IP address of the computer that I am currently using right now. Okay, and so what this does is when Facebook goes to these CDNs as I'm scrolling down and tries to fetch these pictures, it will be routed by my host file back to my computer. It won't be able to fetch the pictures. When you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of users loading, it helps to conserve your memory. Helps conserve your memory and your RAM when you don't have all these pictures to load. The other thing that I do, I showed you this in the very first video, how this HTML, I can do anything that I want to with it. And so this will help conserve RAM and also to conserve the render processes. I've got to find this specific element. I've got this on my, okay, here we go, this right here. Okay, so it's that one right there. I found the div. Okay, and here what I do is I put a style on here, display none. Okay, and what this should do, let's see if this did it, is this should, okay, boom. Okay, so now this page is not displaying, and I can have my auto scroll. So even though the page isn't displaying, I can have my auto scroller going, and it will load other users. And this speeds up the process, and so that this speeds up the process dramatically when I have this UI hidden, and it also, as I've said, helps to conserve your RAM usage and your conserve your render processes, because Google Chrome no longer has to render the page. Okay, and you'll see here I'm getting a lot of errors here, because what's happening is this is Facebook trying to go, the Google Chrome trying to retrieve these images, and every time it tries to retrieve an image, my host file redirects it back to my local computer where this image doesn't exist. So if I go to my network tab, you'll see here that I'll have all kinds of okay, so I've got 200 requests here. 200 status. Go back. My console. Okay, and here, as you'll see here, it's giving me the members count. So it's 988 members. This number that's outputting, my script is designed to output the members count. And we're still stuck at 988. Why is this thing stuck at 988? Let's see here. Is there something on here? I don't see anything. Okay, so now it's going back. We've got 1018. Okay, and you'll see here, connection refused. You can't go to the CDN. Can't find the photo. And if I go here to my network tab, you see all these red ones here. We've got a failed request. I can pull up my task manager, and you'll see this thing takes a hell of a lot of RAM. Okay. So there's Adobe Captivate. If I could find Google Chrome, you'll see that Google Chrome is using over 1 gigabyte of RAM, and this thing will get up into, I forget how much it gets up to. It's like 7 or 8 gigabytes of RAM it'll go up to before it starts crashing. Okay. But that, and of course, up here, if you see this this count here of how many failed requests that I've got in my console, that's giving me the failed request for how many images I've missed. That's a good proxy too for how many members that I've got loaded, because those are the member profiles they're trying to load, and these first few images load. These first few load because they're in my cache. So all the images that are cached unload. And what I do is, and by the way, I've abandoned this method completely. In the next video, I'll show you my new method. But what I would do when I get these lists is I have to sit there and let this thing run all day. Now on Facebook's old UI, I could get an entire list in a matter of next to nothing. I mean, it might take me, I don't know, just a few minutes to get 10,000 members. With this new UI, it takes it freaking forever, especially once you start getting down to 7,000, 8,000 members, 9,000, 10,000. They start to load slower and slower. And so I'll have this thing running for 8 hours. And once it starts getting to about 10,000 members, I've got to start saving my users list. I might save it at 10,000. I'll try it again at 10,500. Try it again at 11,000. Because what happens is somewhere between 10,000 and about 11,500, somewhere between there, it will crash. The different things that I do to tweak my RAM usage will give me more or less users that will load before it crashes. And the other problem is that sometimes saving a list will cause the application, cause Google Chrome to crash, that you're overpowering it with all of this HTML that it's got loaded, plus you're trying to save it, and so you're kind of playing this game with yourself, like I've got it's up to user number 10,000. Okay, I've got 10,000 users here loaded so far. I would like to have 10,500, but I'm not sure if it's going to crash by the time it gets down to 10,500. However, if I save this with 10,000 right now, that might cause it to crash. And so you got to kind of take a gamble and see how many you can get. And for a lot of these, when I got my new computer and I started doing this again, after I got my new computer, I got back on this project, getting these members lists in the past couple of months. I would experiment, and I would say, I'd save it at 7,500 members, 8,500, 9,000, different marks like that. I would save it as, and after everything that I did to save my RAM, I loaded these CDNs on my host file. They changed their CDNs. A lot of them are different now than they were before. I figured out the maximum that I could get up to was about 11,500, something around there. I think it was 11,348 users that it crashed on. Okay, I don't know why this thing is not still scrolling here. Okay, there it goes. But in the next video, I'll talk about the other techniques that I use to get these lists with more than 10,000 members, and I'll show you my new Win Automation, or my new Microsoft Power Automate script.